Good evening and welcome to a program devoted entirely to lefties losing it. Let's start with the day's momentous news. President Joe Biden, remember him, he is the leader of the free world. Well, he's actually going to do something presidential, not for the country, but for his family. He's going to pardon his crack-addled whore enthusiast son, Hunter. But weren't we told over and over again that that would never happen?
From a presidential perspective, is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
Well, is there?
I just said no. I just answered. Go ahead.
Not any possibility. Not any possibility. She was clear on that. As I said, over and over again.
Second one, would the president pardon or commute his son if he's convicted?
So I've answered this question before. It was asked of me not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, and I was very clear and I said no.
I'm starting to think that the Biden White House has been lying to us.
Again, you've also said several times that the president would not pardon or commute the sentences for his son, Hunter. I just want to make sure that that is not going to change over the next 6 months. The president's saying he would not.
It's still a no. It's still a no.
It will always be a no.
It's still a no. It will be a no. It is a no, and I don't have anything else to add. Will he pardon his son? No.
Oh dear. And Joe Biden himself ruled out a pardon for Hunter.
But let me ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
Yep, he ruled it out. You couldn't get any clearer than that. But then this happened today.
US President Joe Biden has pardoned his son's criminal convictions.
Now to someone I'm sure you've missed, the trans activist who almost single-handedly destroyed Bud Light. Here's Dylan Mulvaney telling us about how she feels post-election. I'm sure you've been dying to know.
How are you feeling at this moment in time?
I feel scared and hopeful and a little reckless, but sexy and fun. I no longer feel like I am trying to win over the wrong people anymore. I think that I want to find my community. I know a lot of who those people are and find some more of the good ones.
Now to a clip for lefty women with daddy issues. This is a hairdresser from Omaha, Nebraska with some terrible advice and a warning here. This woman is insufferable.
So you want to get back at your dad for voting for Donald Trump, do you, pumpkin? I have a great idea. Show up to Thanksgiving with a shaved head and see what happens. Because American dads have never really been given the room to adequately express themselves, it makes them real mad when you do for yourself.
I told you she was insufferable, and she's not just encouraging irrationally angry women to make some very poor decisions. She wants to facilitate it.
Other dad-mad options would include getting a tattoo on your face or your neck or even your hands, maybe. Ooh, or a facial piercing. That'll really set him off. I love doing like that so much. I even want to help you on your dad-mad journey, cutie. And you would like to shave your head before you go home for the holidays? I'll do it for you for free.
Do you think she just wants to uglify the competition? It is a interesting strategy. Now to activist journalists. Is there another kind? Kara Swisher. She considers herself an astute political commentator and strategist. This was her advice to the Democrats earlier this year.
Rapist, racist, fascist, over and over and over again. And then the trials are happening at the same time. He's just had to pay, he's just $93 million poorer right now. And just hammer it in with those three things. Rapist, racist, fascist.
Gosh, I'm shocked that didn't work. How did that not work? But after cheering on the lawfare and the unhinged attacks on Donald Trump and his supporters, Kara now wants the Republicans to stop celebrating. Apparently there is too much joy. Listen to this bitter lunacy.
My fail is them insulting everybody and doing everything. I think they're overstepping really quickly and becoming sore winners. NFL players are doing the Trump dance. Did you see this? Like they're doing that stupid, weird, dance he does where he looks like he's two horses. This isn't going to endear you to anybody being sore winners. Just stop it. Whatever. Do your stupid dance. But let me just tell you, you think Liberals are irritating. You're irritating too. And I agree, some liberals are irritating, but we do need to get along. And you're just being douche nozzles about it. So whatever.
Oh, now we need to get along. Before, the Republicans were racists and Nazis and convicts, but now we all need to get along. Stop celebrating your massive win and being sore winners. Talk about being completely out of touch with reality. If you want to know why folks are dancing, if you want to understand what we saw at the UFC, then listen to Jesse Kelly. He gets it.
The roof sounded like it was going to come off the place. It went so loud when Trump went in there. And then after John Jones knocked out the guy he was fighting in the heavyweight championship fight, he does the Trump dance in front of everybody and gets on the microphone and says, essentially, I'm so grateful Donald Trump is here. It's such an honor. He goes over and shakes his hand and hands him the championship belt like it was this big, big, big sports moment. But what was that moment? The moment was there has been an outright rejection of how the left has dominated our culture in every single way. And they've been so vicious and mean and dogmatic to anybody, including professional athletes who ever spoke out against them, that what you're seeing now is a rejection of all of it. And the reason it is being rejected is they abused power when they had it, and then they lost it.
Now to a woman who has never been accused of having her finger on the polls. Here is MSNBC anchor Joy Reid losing it over an amusing meme.
What is happening here? What is happening here? What is happening? What's happening here? What's happening? What's happening here?
Another day, another apology delivered by Sunny Hostin on The View. You know, these are happening so often that I'm not even featuring them all on this segment, but this one was particularly bitter and passive-aggressive, so I had to share.
I see you. I see you over there.
I have a very quick statement.
It's not going to be that quick.
Pete Hegseth has denied any wrongdoing. His lawyer said he paid the woman in 2023 to head off the threat of a baseless lawsuit. No charges were ever brought.
You rushed me for that?
They're not a happy bunch, are they? Not much joy there. And remember when the Democrats tried to gaslight America and the world with the lie that they were the party of joy, when we all know they're the party of grievance, hysteria, and screechy sounds.
We won't go back. What are we not going back to? We're not going back to the past where women had no rights. Ever, ever, ever.
To a young man now desperate to play the victim, here is an American climate activist just bagging his country. I've got to say, dude, you know you're free to leave.
I come from a country where we ban books for sport and where we tell children to hide in the corners to avoid the shooters. I come from a place where we bully LGBTQ kids in schools and where we are actively taking away women's rights. I come from the United States.
We have a lot to be grateful for after the US presidential election, including being spared the pain of having this young lass shoved down our throats for the next 4 years. Here is almost first daughter, radical leftist activist Ella Emhoff.
Such a big fan of you. Same, girl, same. I can't even believe you know who I am, and Are you kidding me? I can't believe you know who I am. Well, you are like a breath of fresh air. Every kid I know is just like, knows your name, is singing your praises. The way that you play with fashion and just are unabashedly yourself is the most exciting thing I've ever seen.
The most exciting thing she's ever seen? Seriously? And if you, like most sane people, have no idea who that woman is, she's Jenna Lyons. Someone told me that. I have no idea who she is, to be honest with you. Let's hear now from American Democrat Party strategist Julie Roginski, who thinks she's going to stop the military from deporting illegal migrants.
Promise you with every fiber of my being, because I'll probably be one of those people, that if anybody comes for these people and tries to drag them out by force, there will be protests of people like me, American citizens, who are going to stand there and do everything possible to prevent these women and children, which is all who these people are.
Remember when they found that cocaine in the White House and somehow they couldn't figure out whose it was and then the Secret Service destroyed the evidence? Clearly no obvious suspects came immediately to mind. Now to MSNBC and far left commentator Molly Jong-Fast, who was left speechless by news of Hunter Biden's pardon.
Hunter lied on a mandatory gun purchase form by saying he was not illegally using or addicted to drugs. According to NBC News, the president made the decision this weekend. Molly, fast and furious, what do you make of this new news?
I just heard it. I have to process it. I don't have a take. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I don't want to have a take, lady. That's your job. You've got one job there, and it's to have a take. Watch now as CNN subjects Democrat Dan Goldman to a humiliation ritual of sorts. This is a thing of beauty. They literally play him footage of himself on ABC lying his lefty butt off about how Joe Biden was never going to pardon his son Hunter. I got to say, I love CNN for this.
This is what you said. I want to watch.
Do you think a pardon for his son would be a mistake?
Yes, and I don't think there's any chance that President Biden is going to do that, unlike his predecessor, who pardoned all of his friends.
What does that feel like, watching yourself back then, reassuring people that Biden was not going to issue a pardon for his son?
Yeah, and I think that if that plea agreement and that plea deal had gone through, there would be no pardon. That was a satisfactory outcome.
It had already fallen
that
through.
Only was. Sorry?
When you reacted, this was when the deal had fallen through.
Now, we were told again and again, not just by the Biden White House, but also its propaganda arm, the overwhelming majority of the US media, that Joe Biden would never pardon his crack-addled whore enthusiast son. He has too much integrity to do that. He has too much respect for the legal process.
Major commitment from the president, accepting the outcome of the trial and also pledging not to pardon his son.
Presidential promise to put the law before a family.
I said I abide by the jury decision. I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
Letting the world know that he will not wipe away the decision of 12 of his son's peers.
One side, Democrats and Joe Biden protecting the justice system, and on the other, Republicans and Trump protecting Trump.
Our current president of the United States has so much respect for the law that he has said he would not pardon his son. I mean, what, you know, again, it's all about the contrast.
Remember when Trump tried to get the esteemed journalists of 60 Minutes to actually do their job and cover the Hunter Biden laptop story in the lead up to the 2020 election?
You know, this is 60 Minutes. And we can't put on things we can't verify.
You won't put it on because it's bad for Biden.
We can't put on things we can't verify.
Leslie, I don't have to discredit you.
But that's what
you've discredited yourself.
You told me that.
Leslie, you've discredited yourself. When you say that you're not going to cover Biden, you're going to ask him what flavor ice cream he has, okay? Instead of why did Hunter get $3.5 million from Moscow? Instead of why is an energy company paying your son $183,000 a month or whatever they're paying him, and he has no experience in energy. You know, you discredit yourself. I don't have to discredit you.
So this story about Hunter and his laptop, some repair shop found it. The source is Steve Bannon and Rudy Giuliani.
The source is Steve Bannon and Rudy Giuliani. Can you believe that nonsense? And she wasn't done discrediting herself yet. She's supposed to be the very best, among the very best, the cream of the crop. Can you see why trust in the media is at record lows?
And you're making this one of the hottest, most important issues in your rallies.
It's a very important issue to find out whether or not a man's corrupt who's running for president, who's accepted money from China and from Ukraine and from Russia.
All these
I think that's an important issue.
Investigated and
it's incredible the way you can try and say this and sit there and look me in the eye and say it. He accepted money, his family, from Russia, from Ukraine, from China, and from other places. His brother, who didn't have experience, became a big builder in Iraq without experience. Take a look at what's going on, Leslie. And then you say that shouldn't be discussed.
I'm saying
it's the biggest scandal out there, Leslie, and you don't cover it.
Because it can't be verified.
You want to talk about insignificant things.
I'm telling you.
Of course it can be verified. Excuse me, they found the laptop. Leslie.
It can't be verified.
What can't be verified?
The laptop.
As you saw from the captions there, it wasn't unverified. It wasn't a fake story. It was very much real and implicated not just Hunter Biden, but Joe Biden. The New York posted a series of bombshell stories on it well before that little interaction. And let's not forget, the media, including 60 Minutes, for 4 years, pushed completely unverified Russian collusion hoax stories, but they chose not to cover that crucial story in the lead up to the 2020 election. And never forget, they impeached Donald Trump for wanting to investigate the very crimes Joe Biden just pardoned his son for. Now, let's go to CNN. They're still defending the president. Apparently, Trump is going to go around and shoot everybody. And if Biden didn't pardon his son, what would happen next? What?
You can defend it, but wasn't it a lie that he was not going to pardon him?
No, I believe the circumstances have changed. I think that we now have a president coming into office who's talking about firing squads, who's talking about running people around the country and making sure that everyone who's his enemy is going to be punished.
Firing squads, really? These people are nuts. But not to be outdone, the ladies of The View, led by Whoopi Goldberg, have decided that it is Donald Trump's fault that Biden lied and pardoned his son. Try to keep up with this logic, if you can call it that.
I'd stop calling it a lie. Okay. Well, here's what it says. It's a precedent for all of us to open our eyes because we've elected someone who is in a similar situation, who didn't have a drug problem, who knew what he was doing, who clearly stood and said, I can do this. And he did it. So I think, for many, many reasons, this is very different than any other situation that we have ever dealt.
Now we've got Jon Stewart, another lefty, losing it, but at least he did try to inject a little humour into proceedings. Sure, as usual with Jon Stewart, he is years late to the party. He said nothing about this Biden family and their dodgy business dealings when it actually mattered. But now, in the final weeks of Biden's lame duck presidency, he's bravely cracking jokes.
Democrats have a moral perch from which they can judge without shame, hypocrisy, or nuance.
Breaking news, President Biden has issued a pardon for his son, Hunter Biden.
We were so close.
You know what? It may be a little gutless to finally be showing some interest in the Hunter Biden laptop story and what it all means, but at least Stewart is funny here.
I'm sure the pardon is a narrowly written, precisely drawn farewell note of compassion for a loved one.
The pardon sweeping, covering offenses that Hunter Biden, quote, has committed or may have committed or taken part in over the past 11 years.
Years is a very specific and not rounded amount of time. So, Hunter, I'll give you a pardon. A few years, 5 years, 10 years. It needs to be 11.
We have a couple of gems coming for you shortly, including a delicious case of instant karma. But let's first check in with the leader of the free world. Remember him? Here he is in Africa, and he's being guided around Angola, which he seems to think is a city.
You know, with you in Angola, a vibrant city, and I look, not the city. The city I know is not Angola, but in Angola, in a vibrant city.
Glad he cleared that up, or he may have looked foolish. Soon he was on much firmer ground talking about his favourite topic, trains.
I'm probably the most pro-rail guy in America. I've ridden over 1,300,000 miles on a daily basis to my work.
Okay, you know, these days people ask Joe Biden how he sleeps at night with all the lies he's told, the damage he's done to the country. Turns out he sleeps just fine.
People, goods and services, but will also promote shared prosperity and inclusive growth across the region. Internal consultations aiming at aligning this project with national priorities and other bilateral and regional commitments. In closing, allow me to reiterate Tanzania's commitment to regional integration and shared prosperity.
Oh dear, perhaps he was just resting his eyes. Surely he only dozed off for a few seconds. No, he's still asleep.
We note the progress made on the development of the Lobito corridor and commend the visionary leadership that has brought this initiative to life. And it is through such partnerships and innovations that Africa's Agenda 2063 will be realized.
Okay, that's enough. I don't have all night on this segment just to be playing you Joe Biden sleeping, because that did go on for longer than I've showed you. The good news is that Joe Biden bounced back to deliver this rousing message. Yep, he's talking trains again and seems to be confused about exactly who the president is.
Mr. President, I'm coming back to ride on the train all the way from end to end. As I say, when we on the Senate floor of the United States Senate, excuse a point of personal privilege. I've ridden an awful lot on trains. I commute every day, so I like trains a lot.
Let's have a look now at MSNBC genius Joy Reid, who felt the need to fact-check a funny meme President-elect Donald Trump posted.
Just a few hours ago, Trump posted this obviously AI photo of him standing on a mountaintop next to the Canadian flag, looking off into the distance with the caption, "Oh, Canada." And for the record, he appears to be looking at the Matterhorn, which is on the border between Switzerland and Italy, not Canada.
Thanks, Joy. How the mighty have fallen. Remember back when billionaire Mark Cuban, the world's dumbest billionaire, was smack-talking Donald Trump with this cringe performance?
You're shiny, orange, and empty inside. I'd say you're a traffic cone, but I would swerve to avoid a traffic curve.
That's gonna leave a mark, Cuban.
Then we saw his all-out campaign to help make Kamala president. He was everywhere. But now the dude who bears a striking resemblance to Rachel Maddow is reduced to appearing on the podcast of the Hawk Tour Girl. Really?
You got Pookie Spickles.
Yeah, I bet you do.
So would you invest in it?
No.
That was quick. That was fast.
You know what? I'm not investing in anything named Pickle after a guy. It's just...
Okay. That's fair enough. Fair enough.
Now, this has to be my personal favourite. This is instant karma in all its deliciousness. Let's check in on this smug but ignorant lefty woman on election day, recounting an encounter with a store clerk.
He's asked me, why I was getting the champagne, and I said, because I'm going to be toasting Madam President tonight. And he just looked at me with kind of like a smirk on his face. And I said, she's going to win this, right? And he says, oh, well, it's very, very close. And I said, no, it's not. He says, well, what do you mean? I said, no, it's not. The women of America are making their voices heard. Reproductive rights is what it all comes down to. And the women are voting in numbers relative to men that are unbelievable. She's won this. And I said to him, she's going to take every one of the swing states plus Iowa.
She was right. It wasn't close. Only Kamala didn't win every swing state. And as for Iowa, she lost Iowa by more than 13%. But our expert wasn't done yet. She told the store clerk just what her credentials were.
I'm a political analyst. I'm telling you right now, the numbers are there. She's taking this election. And then I said to him, you realize, and he didn't tell me who he voted for, but of course I knew. And I said, you do realize you wasted your vote, right? And I didn't care.
Oh, gosh. So likeable. Now let's check in with Dr. Arlene. Post-election, I'm sure she's going to apologise to that shopkeeper and put away her pundit hat, eat a little bit of humble pie.
We'll talk about the cabinet appointments, other things that people are concerned about. We'll take an in-depth look at those things.
No, of course not. These people never acknowledge their clownish mistakes. They never apologise. They just double down on the lunacy. And that's it from me. I'll see you Sunday morning for Outsiders. Good night.